All right, hello, welcome to the Hold My Helmet Football Podcast. I'm your host, Will Reichling.
And I'm your co-host, Dylan Boyle.
Welcome back, Dylan. Welcome back. We're getting into week 1 of the preseason for the NFL.
Yeah, man, I could feel it on the tip of my fingers.
I know,
It's
right there. We just got to wait a few more weeks, guys, okay? And we'll be right back at football season. The fall's about to start. The weather's going to get nice in New York over here. Leaves changing colors, so we're very excited. Now, since I started this podcast, there was a topic that I've been dying to get into because it's just so intriguing, and it's very simple. Justin Fields. What is Justin Fields, Dylan? He's 5-20 as a starter, but he got 1,000 rushing yards last season. That cannot be ignored. So what is he exactly?
Yeah, in a running aspect, I would give him like top 3 quarterback, you know?
I would. He might even be number 2 or number 1 in my opinion.
No, really. Like a lot of people are comparing him to RG3 in his style.
Yeah, no, he draws a lot of similarities to RG3. Running the ball, his lack thereof passing the ball. But he did slightly improve as a passer last season, but there's still a lot left to be desired. He has to produce. He has to start winning games, in my opinion. Not saying he has to make the playoffs, but he's got to compete towards the end of the season.
So is he going to go out like how RG3 went out as well?
Well, this is interesting because, I have an interesting stat here. In 2022, Justin Fields played 7 games against eventual playoff teams that eventually made the playoffs. No quarterback had a better touchdown to interception ratio than Justin Fields. He finished with a 63 completion percentage, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception, 103 passer rating. Pretty good for someone going against playoff teams. And I just found this recently, and I've been up and down with Justin Fields. I'm not sure if he's gonna work, but the more I think about it, the more I buy into it.
Well, that's a big part of it. Exactly what you said, against playoff teams. And, a lot of these quarterbacks,
Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins, yes. Like, they don't perform in the big-time moments against the big teams. And, if you can see him doing that, I feel like he could definitely make his place in the NFL.
Well, you bring up weapons. They added DJ Moore via trade. Yeah. Last year, they added Claypool via trade. So it's a solid 2 or 3 for Claypool. And then they have Darnell Mooney already, who's a good 2. And Cole Kmet's a top 10 tight end. So they have a lot of weapons on offense now. They do.
Yeah, you're right. And I feel like that key factor will really determine if he's going to be a top quarterback or not. Like I really heard people talking about, is he going to be an MVP this year?
I know.
I really heard
he's
that
on
before.
the odds for some reason. And when I saw that at first, I was like, that's crazy. But when you think about it, he's a good sleeper candidate.
But there's people that are going the complete opposite, saying he's one of the worst running back, one of the worst quarterbacks.
I felt like that was me a few weeks ago.
That's what you were telling me.
The more I buy into it, the more I think about it, the more I'm starting to buy into it. I still don't know if they're going to be that good. They add a lot of pieces on defense, even though it was a little lackluster last year in the secondary. They drafted Tyreek Stevenson. They added a few players, so their defense might be slightly improved. But, the question was the line last season. But was it really the line? I mean, they did allow the 4th most sacks last season. But wow. I think I said this in a previous episode. PFF ranked them 14th by the end of the season. So were they really that bad? They were average, but they weren't that bad. They were 2nd in pass block win rate and 5th in run block win rate. So definitely better than advertised.
Well, I don't really know where they stand on their line, but regardless of the line or not, but if you have a quarterback and he's a running quarterback, he's going to do pretty well in the NFL.
He's going to evade pressure.
Exactly. Yeah. He's going to get used to things a lot easier. He's not going to have to rely on, making those completions. He can always get out of the pocket and run away from the pressure.
Right, exactly.
If he has to.
Right. I agree with that.
And I feel like if they had a better line, then he might be a lot better than we're making him out to be.
Look, their line's not great, but I definitely think people were saying they had the worst line in the league. In some aspects they did, but it really wasn't as bad as they've advertised it. So there's definitely no more excuses for Justin Fields this year. He's like I said, 5-20 as a starter. Now they've added pieces on offense, they've added pieces on defense. They should. I'm not saying win 10 games, but let's win 7, 8. It's time for improvement, Justin Fields. It's time for improvement.
No, yeah, you definitely need to see what he's got with his arm. We see what he got with his legs. Quarterbacks, they get worn out after a while, so you can't just rely on that. So we really got to see what he's got.
We do for sure, and that's why there's a lot of interesting storylines with quarterbacks this season. A lot of question marks at quarterback. Mm-hmm. The biggest question mark of the offseason is probably the counterpart in his own division, Jordan Love in the Green Bay Packers. Yeah. What is Jordan Love going to be? I mean, sorry about the mic drop. If he was great, they would have probably gotten rid of Rodgers years ago. That's my take on it.
Got rid of Rodgers years ago. Do you hear yourself?
Think about Mahomes and Alex Smith. Think about Rodgers sat behind Favre for a few years, but yeah, if he was Mahomes, like everyone was saying he was in the draft, Yeah, they would have gotten rid of Rodgers. He's an old quarterback that's overpaid. You have him on a rookie contract, you're going to want to play him and stack up your roster. But clearly, he's not terrible, or they would have just let him go.
I think it was more of him sitting behind Aaron Rodgers and just, him getting that experience. I don't know how much training he was actually giving Jordan Love, but
well, definitely looks like he has a different attitude than Jets than he did on the Packers.
Yes,
that's for sure.
We'll
that's
definitely
for sure.
get into that one. But either way, Jordan Love, I feel like it's going to be a lot easier for him to transition. They have obviously Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. So when you have two elite running backs like that, I feel like it's a lot easier for somebody to really get used to things. And just for that fact, there might be a lot more expectations on him,
Yeah, well, just being part of the Green Bay Packers, he's going to have more expectations on him. And think about the last
especially after being.
Think about the last two quarterbacks they've had: Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers for the last 30 years. So now, if Jordan Love's average, I don't know how they're going to handle that, But if Jordan Love is Kirk Cousins, with this roster, they could easily make the playoffs.
No, for sure.
They don't. He doesn't need to be special. He just needs to be middle of the pack. That's all you want from Jordan Love. So maybe he is middle of the pack, because I feel like if he was really bad, they probably would have gotten rid of him.
Yeah, I heard somebody say, as long as you have a Kirk Cousins in there, they can get it done. They could be a playoff.
Yeah,
team.
right. But just think about it for a second. Have you seen much film on Jordan Love in practice? Why is that? Are they hiding something? I don't know.
Yeah, is this another Trey Lance situation where
I don't see a scenario where he goes out and he's a top 10 quarterback. I don't. I could see him being a top 15, 16 at best. Maybe he's competent.
Well, you judge a lot, so what can we say?
Usually I'm the positive one here, and you're the negative one. But Mr. Trey Joe Burrow over here.
Well, listen, he only played 4 games in his career.
Yeah, right.
We're still trying to figure out what Justin Fields is, and he had 2 whole seasons. He played 4 games, bro.
I know.
Let's actually give him some time. Let's see what he looks like. I haven't even seen what he looked like in preseason. We haven't seen him at all.
Yeah.
Only in 4 games, and it's not like he's throwing a lot of picks. He didn't look terrible.
No, he hasn't.
1 touchdown, 0 picks.
That's the thing about him. He hasn't looked great. He hasn't looked terrible. He's looked meh. Okay, I guess. That's the thing. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work out.
Everyone isn't Patrick Mahomes.
It's definitely good point there. I mean, that's the thing. Kirk Cousins, there's value in a Kirk Cousins. 11, 12 best in the league. Where are you going to find that? Say Kirk Cousins, say the Vikings want to move on. Who are they going to get? They don't have a high draft pick because they're too good. And they're not going to find anyone better in free agency. Just think about that.
Pick up Zach Wilson, maybe. See how that works out.
Good one. Speaking of Zach Wilson, Jets' first episode of Hard Knocks, and man, that was exciting.
Oh my God, bro! I'm not a Giants fan, but I was literally getting the chills watching this stuff.
You mean you are a Giants fan and you're getting the chills?
I know. Oh yeah, yeah. I messed it up.
I'm not a Giants fan, but I am a Giants fan.
No, I am a Giants fan.
No, I
it's making me feel like I'm not a Giants fan.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying, but look, Rodgers looks great. He's definitely not washed.
No, he's not.
And he's
hitting all his targets.
Yeah, no look throws. I mean, I get it. What is a no look throw? I mean, I just want to see him hit his receivers, but he looks special, and he's teaching Zach Wilson. This is great for Zach. And I didn't really care about the Zach Wilson factor in this at first, but now watching him teach him, it's you're learning from a great. And it looks like Zach's absorbing a lot from this. So maybe this could be a positive, but I don't think Zach's ever going to start again for the Jets. But at least there's hope there.
Well, I feel like people I don't know, they really made it seem like it's okay, Zach's taking a step back and he's just gonna watch Aaron for a little bit, and I don't know if that was them just underplaying it or if that's actually what it is. If this is actually just a learning experience for him, because it would be a really good one, because what we're seeing in the film is he was really getting in there with Zach and teaching him, and
he was.
And it looks like he was enjoying what he was doing, and I could tell you this, I don't know if it was like that at all when he was in Green Bay these last few years. No. I don't think he was having as much fun.
It didn't look like he was having any fun,
No. I mean, we didn't see.
He looked
obviously they didn't have any hard knocks or anything like that. We were just actually got a real glimpse inside. But I'll tell you, he looked excited, they were
just
cracking jokes. Yeah,
body language alone,
having great time with the coaches.
Really, yes, and he looks like he's engaged. And even when Salah during that was a little negative, and during the preseason, it was man, I thought he was going to score. He's okay, let's relax. It's preseason. He's setting the tempo for everyone, trying to talk about manifestation, which I'm not a big manifestation guy, but just the positive energy alone. That's all I'm trying to say here. And the Jets players got to stop being googly eyed over this guy, because that's all I saw all episode 2, and that kind of bothered me a little bit. It's just you gotta win. Like Rodgers said, you have to win games now because I think one of the narrator said to him like you're making New York so happy right now, and he's like, still gotta win games. You have to win games, and it's realistic. High expectations are reasonable here. There's no reason not to have high expectations for the New York Jets. They won 7 games with Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, and Mike White combination of quarterback. That's probably the worst quarterback room in the league, and they won 7 games. You have to have high expectations for this team. You have to. If Rodgers was on the Jets last season, and Rodgers last season had the worst season of his career, they would have made the playoffs still. He threw 26 touchdowns. Like I said, we named the last Jets player that threw 26 touchdowns. It was a long time ago. So...
No, yeah, just never.
This is gonna be heated, man.
Yeah, no.
This is gonna be heated. People saying like this was a dumb decision. It's like, wow, but how could you have not made this decision to go get Aaron Rodgers?
Absolutely, but do you think this whole Hard Knocks thing is gonna be
a distraction?
A distraction, a positive effect on them, a negative effect on them?
I think it's just bringing more unnecessary attention to them, but they didn't have a choice. So
no, yeah, there was already unnecessary attention around them. Just Aaron Rodgers being in the building,
but they didn't have a choice with this, so it is what it is. But now it seems like they got forced with it, that they're taking it full stride and they're just making it all about Aaron Rodgers, which I'm fine with, but the players got to relax with it a little bit, okay? You're professionals. You got to go win games. Yeah, everyone's like, I'm so happy he's
everyone's
here.
so starstruck.
Yeah, I'm so happy he's here. It's like, okay, so am I, but like, what are you going to do about it? And I know they're focused, and I think they're going to be just fine this year. That's all I'm trying to say. I expect them to be much better with Rodgers than with the disaster they had at quarterback last season. And, speaking of New York football teams, another team with a lot of hype around them and playoff expectations and playoff aspirations, of course, is the New York Giants. And they should have high expectations. I mean, they made the playoff last year and they improved their roster. So, Darren Waller, going to Darren Waller, I mean, it looks like they can't cover him in practice.
I know, it's crazy, man. And, and the key word is if he stays healthy, because that's what a lot of people are saying. Obviously, he's a very injury-prone player.
Yes, he is, and that's the problem.
But, I heard Darren Waller is really going into this, as a, captain figure, and he's really stepping up. Obviously, nobody can cover him, The practice they had between the Lions and the Giants this week, I heard he was going off. He scored a touchdown. I heard a lot of good things and also some bad things. I heard their defense wasn't all that.
No, but, like you said, if he stays healthy, he's a top 3 tight end in my opinion. Definitely top 5, maybe top 3. I don't want to sound crazy, but when he plays, he's special. The problem is he can't stay on the field. Like you said, no one could guard him at practice. He had himself a day against the Lions. He's been having himself a day. And like you said, the Giants defense hasn't been showing that they've been great. The D line for sure, but the corners. I mean, apparently, I'm not sure if this is true, but I heard that he had to sit out one practice because Daniel Jones was favoring him too much, just because he was wide open every single play. So that's a lot of positives and negatives in that one sentence alone.
I'm glad we actually have a dominant receiver because we had a bunch of maybes.
A bunch of 2s and 3s, and now you got yourself a legit guy, and if he goes and plays, he's going to be a problem. And this guy, Jalen Hyatt, you drafted in the 3rd round, I heard he could be a stud. And if he becomes a number 1 receiver, if Jalen Hyatt becomes a legit number 1 receiver, Darren Waller stays healthy, and Saquon Barkley, the Giants actually could be explosive this season. They can be explosive.
We just need to step up on defense and see what we could do.
My main concern with the Giants, though, is their O-line. They're ranked 29th in PFF going into the season. Now, you had Andrew Thomas, the second-team All-Pro last season, but that just shows that the whole rest of the line was terrible. It is terrible if he's an All-Pro and then you're still ranked 29th. So clearly, there's...
No, that says a lot about him.
Yeah. It shows how great Andrew Thomas is.
It's terrible because it really gave Daniel Jones a bad looks for the amount of fumbles he was getting. Because you got to realize the reason why he was fumbling the ball so much is because there were so many blind spots. There were so many people tackling him, and he just didn't see it, and that was his line just deteriorating.
No, you're absolutely right. Daniel Jones has had no protection so far in his career. Now, their O-line struggles might have me, plus their schedule is having me worry about them making the playoffs. Now, I know people are going to say, but the Jets have a shaky O-line. The Jets have a tough schedule. Daniel Jones is not Aaron Rodgers, so just stop. Yes, he can run, and Aaron Rodgers is older and he can't. But Aaron Rodgers has a way quicker release than Daniel Jones. Aaron Rodgers could still evade pressure when he has to, and he's probably the best quarterback in history of throwing on the run and throwing off his back foot. So I don't want to hear that, okay? Daniel Jones is not Aaron Rodgers.
He is a runner, you know. I was just saying before how, you know, when you have a running quarterback, you know, it's a lot easier.
You're right.
And
you are right.
It was a lot easier around him, but I don't want to see them keep running the ball. So many times, there's like literally half of the plays were either Daniel Jones running it or Saquon Barkley running it. We got to get away from that and start utilizing our actual receivers that we have in the building.
You have such a good point. You added these receivers for a reason. You paid these guys for a reason. It's not like you have any
we're taking a step away from Barkley for a reason. You didn't give him the contract for a reason.
Well, you have to. You can't be too Saquon Barkley reliant. We both said this before. We both have said this. You know.
I know.
And I get what you're saying. You do have a point. When you have a running quarterback that can evade pressure easier, Rodgers doesn't really run that much anymore in his career. But I'm just a little worried about the Giants. That's all. Their tough schedule, plus their shaky O-line. You know, hopefully Evan Neal, the right tackle, has to step up this year. Andrew Thomas has stepped up. Now it's time for Evan Neal to step up. He was a first-round draft pick last year, and he was very shaky last season. It was very unsettling. And I heard this report. Dexter Lawrence apparently there was bulldozed through 3 guys and got to Daniel Jones.
Well, yeah, you got to realize Dexter Lawrence
is a beast.
Yes,
is a beast. Now,
top end.
That's all I'm saying. Was it Dexter Lawrence or was it the Giants
Probably
line?
A little bit of both.
Because
I'll say that.
I get one person blowing past one guy. He maybe been blowing past 2 guys, but 3 guys, you got yourself a problem. But like we said, they have a good running game and they have a running quarterback, so they can work around these things. So they are set up to work kind of well without a great offensive line. So I will give you that. I'm 50-50 on the Giants making the playoffs still. I have them just missing, but I could be wrong. I was wrong about them last year. We all thought they were going to be terrible. We were wrong. They have a great coach. And, the quarterback seems like when he has talent around him and he has a solid consistent defense and a good head coach, that he can win them games.
Yeah, as long as we have the offense step up a little bit, the defense step up a little bit, I think we'll be just fine.
Getting into preseason starting, the regular season starting, things are really ramping up. It's getting exciting. We're going towards another football season. Just remember, just keep liking, subscribing, and sharing because we're getting into the heat of things. We started a little early. We wanted to start a little bit in the off season just to get ourselves some momentum from when the season finally starts.
Sure. So now we're definitely ready now.
Yeah, now that the season's finally here, and a lot of the times during the off season, there's storylines, but it's like just this guy getting signed, this guy's requesting a trade, this guy getting drafted.
Got to pull things out of thin air.
There's going to be so many more interesting conversations, interesting topics to talk about. So, like I said, keep liking, subscribing, sharing. Shoot us a follow, shoot us a message, comment below. Any suggestions?
Let us know you want to talk. What we want to talk about.
Yeah, we'll consider it.
Maybe get into it
during the season. We might even start watching the game on live. Interacting with the fans. We don't really know.
Make it fun.
Yeah, and we don't know for sure what we're gonna do yet, but we're gonna get there. Promise we're gonna get there. Just keep giving us faith and keep sticking with us. Thanks, Dylan. See you next week.